So what we do when you first open Revit, this screen will come up, giving you some choices. So what we're going to do is we're going to do new project. So if you click on new, it's going to ask you what template file to use. Template file is just like a pre-created set of rules to work by. So go down to browse and actually choose default. That's as close to the old architecture template as they have. So click on default and hit open. And then we're going to do a project, not a project template. So we're going to hit OK. And what it automatically does is it just creates a couple of different levels by default. And we've got 4 different cameras pointing here. So what we'll do is we'll build our little model right in the middle of these 4 cameras. And the views from these cameras will show up as different north, south, east, and west elevation views. So what I like to do is right off the bat, I want to set up my levels. I want to tell the computer where the ground floor is, where the second floor is, and where the roof is. So I'm going to go over here. This is called the project browser, and this is where you can find all the different views in Revit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of these elevation views. And it doesn't matter which one I pick because they're all kind of the same at this point. We're just starting out. So I'm just going to double click on the east elevation. And you can see they've got level 1 set at 0 and level 2 set at 10. That's just the default setting. We can change that if we wanted to. So let's just try and build just a real simple building and then kind of put cameras in there and then put it all onto the sheet. And like I said, we're recording all this, so I can send this to you so you can see the steps if I'm going too fast or anything like that. Level 1 at 0 feet, that's fine for what we're doing. But let's say that we want to put in a level 2 and we want to change this to 12 feet. All you got to do, you just wheel in. You can wheel in with your mouse, and where it says 10 feet, just double click on it, and it's like a Word document. We can now change that to 12 feet. And if we hit enter, it bumps up. Now it's 12 feet high. And let's also say, let's put a roof level on here. Let's say that the roof level is going to be 10 feet above that. So the roof level will be at 22 feet, 12 plus 10. We'll just wheel out here. And we're going to go up to the architecture tab, and I'm looking for level. And actually, I can find it right here. This allows us to create as many additional levels as we want to. So if I click on level, I can just kind of come over here and just put in another level. It just snaps to these things. And I'll just click it. And then I go back to the modify arrow just to get me out of that mode. And now we can correct it. My philosophy in Revit is put it in first, imprecisely, and then go back and tweak it and make it right. So that's what we're going to do. We put this in. It's not the right number. We want this to be 22 feet. So I'm just going to double click it and type in 22, enter. Now it's at the right level, but we want to change the name. We don't want it to be level 3. We want to call this the roof. This will be where the roof starts out. So if we double click on this, we just type in roof. And hit enter. It'll say, do you want to rename all corresponding views? Yep, we do. So now we got our levels set up, and that was pretty easy to do. Now what we're going to do, what I want to do is I want to go to the view, the plan view of level 1 and draw in some of my walls. And then tell the computer, make those walls go all the way up to the roof level, and then we'll put a roof on top of it. So to do that, I'm going to go over to my floor plan views, and I want to go to the floor plan for level 1. So I'm going to click on level 1, just double click on it, and here it is. There's nothing really to see at this point. We haven't built anything yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to wall in architecture, and when we click on it, we've got our choice of all these different walls that we can pick. I'm just going to say generic 12-inch masonry. I think that's fine for what we're doing. That just means it's a brick wall and it's 12 inches thick. So I'm going to select that. A couple things that that we need to double check are correct. Location line. We've got a choice of core center line or finish face exterior or finish face interior. We got a bunch of things here to choose from. The location line is simply what point in our wall do we want to measure things from? Where do we want to, if our wall is 12 inches thick, where do we want to say that wall starts? Where do we want to measure things from? From the outside face or from the middle of it or from the inside face? Let's just say we'll just say exterior face. We'll say that the line that locates our wall is going to be the outside face of that wall. And when we measure dimensions and stuff, we'll dimension to that outside face. So that's fine. We're going to say base constraint is where the bottom of that wall is, and we want the bottom to be on level 1. If for whatever weird reason we wanted that wall to start maybe a foot above level 1, we could say base offset, and we could say 12 inches, which means we move it up a foot. Walls don't defy gravity, so we don't have to worry about that. We'll just leave that at 0. And the top constraint is how high we want that wall. And I want that wall to go up to the roof level. I want it to go all the way up, and then we'll plop a roof on top of it. We could select unconnected and then say unconnected height. Like if I wanted it to go up only 13 feet, it didn't go to a specific level. I could say top constraint, unconnected, and unconnected height 13 feet. So we can control how tall these things are. But for what we're doing, we just want it to go right up to the roof. And we'll hit apply. And like I said, I like to just kind of imprecisely put these things in first, and then we'll go back and tweak it. So I'm just going to make life real easy on us and just draw a rectangle here. And I'm not even worried about how long or deep it is at this point. I'm just making it a rectangle. And then I'm going to click on the arrow to get out of the wall placing mode. And now what I want to do, this is how I found is the easiest way to very precisely put walls. Oh, hey, Maynell. Hey. Oh, is that mine? Oh, okay. Thanks, Maynell. So if you go up to what great thing in Revit that you can do is you can place dimensions on things and then type what you want that dimension to be, and it'll adjust where the walls are. So it can match up with what you need it to be. So that's why we just put in the walls at random here, because we're going to adjust them in a second here. So if we go up here to, it's this command up here called aligned dimension that you want to use. So click on aligned dimension. And what we're going to do is we're going to snap our starting point. I don't want to measure from the middle of the wall. I want to measure from the outside face. So if I hit tab, it selects that outside face. And I'm going to pull my little tape measure over. And I just want it to go to the outside face of this wall too. Not to the middle, but to the outside face. So I'm going to get close to the outside face, hit tab until it selects that. This is what I want. I want to go from the outside face of this wall to the outside face of this wall. And I can just pull this up wherever I need it to go. Right about there looks good. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do a dimension from the outside face of this wall to the outside face of this wall. So I'm going to just hit tab until that outside face is selected. Hit tab until that outside face is selected, and just pull it clear just so you can easily see it. Now I'm going to click on the arrow modify again. Right now it's 107 feet, 6 inches. Let's say I want this whole house to be 60 feet long. What I can do is I can tell the computer, I'm going to select this wall, and then I'm going to overtype this. I'm going to say, make this 60 feet. And what it's going to do is it's going to move this wall in until this dimension is 60 feet. That's the trick to making everything precisely where you need it to be. So I'm going to say, this is the wall that I need it to move. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to change it to 60 tick mark or 60 feet, enter, and look at that. Now it's exactly where it needs to be. That'll make life so easy for you. Let's say that also we want this to be 40 feet. I don't know what random dimension it is. It's 47 feet. We're going to click on this wall, and then we're going to overtype this 40 feet, enter, and now I've got 60 feet by 40 feet. So that's a secret in Revit. It took me a long time to figure that out. But now you can make everything precisely where you want it to be. So let's check our work. If we go up here, there's a little icon. It looks like a house, like kind of like a perspective view of a house. If I click on that, it'll show me so far what we've got. Here's that box that we just created. So now I can go back to level 1 here, double click on it, and it takes me back where periodically I like to go there because you might not see something that's weird in this view. But if you go to this view, you can go, holy crap, that's floating, or that's not supposed to be like that. So keep every now and then check that icon right there. Okay, so let's put in a couple of interior walls too while we're at it. So we're going to say wall, and I'm going to choose like this is a 5.5, this says interior 5.5-inch partition. That's fine for what we're doing. And I'm going to tell it in this case, I'll leave wall center line selected, meaning when I take measurements, it'll go to the middle of the wall. That's fine for this. And I'm going to just tell it go up to level 2 this time. We're not going to take these all the way up to the roof. And again, I'm just going to make up some interior walls here. I think that'll be fine.
When you're doing that part, you're pressing escape. So
yep, escape is the same thing as clicking on this arrow. Like if you're doing if you're placing walls or doing some command, when you're done with that command, you can either hit escape or you can hit this modify arrow, and that gets you out of that command. Okay. So I'm done placing walls. I don't want the computer to be continually placing more walls, so I can just hit modify or I can hit escape. Both will get you out of it. But I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at my view. That looks good. That's fine. I'm going to go back to the level 1. And now let's put in a floor slab that everything can sit on. That's kind of how I do this. I do the outside walls first because that can be the most difficult. And then the interior walls, they're also kind of complicated. Once I get those done, then it's a pretty easy matter to put a floor in and put a roof in. So let's do that. Let's put a floor in. So this time we're going to go over to floor, and we're going to say floor architectural. That's fine. And so this comes up. You're going to see the red X and the green arrow a lot. And that just means you have the freedom to draw this thing whatever you want it to be. And if you're happy with it, you hit the green check mark. If you're like, oh crap, I'm just want to start over from scratch, I've really messed this up, you hit the red X. So we're just going to do, I'm just going to use some boundary lines, and I'm just going to trace the profile of my floor. And since I've already got my walls created, all I have to do is draw over the outside face of the walls. The walls are sitting on top of that floor slab. So I've drawn my floor slab, and I can go over here and select what I want that floor to be. By default, it comes up generic 12 inches. That's fine for what we're doing in this class. So I'm going to hit that. It also asks what level is that floor on? Level 1 is where we want it to be. This looks good. If I go back to my 3D view, you can see there's where the floor is that I just placed. And so I'm going to hit the green check mark. I'm fine with that. There's my floor slab, and everything is neatly rests on top of that floor. Let's go back to our level 1 view, and let's put in a door and some windows. So if we go here, door, you can see I've got this kind of circle with a diagonal in it. That means it won't allow you to place a door outside of your model, because the door also comes with the frame and it comes with the hole. It cuts a hole in the wall for the door. So once I get here, you can see the door. I can move it around, but once I get outside of the model, no door. So let's just place one right here and right here. And if we go to our 3D view, you can see there, it's even placed the frame and the hole around it. Let's put in some windows. And again, you can pick whatever windows you want. There's ways to customize these and make it, but that's a little advanced for what we're doing. Just use the stuff that comes with it, and that'll make life real easy. Let's 34 by 36, that's fine. And again, you can only put windows in walls. I'm going to deliberately do this wrong, and I'll show you why. Okay, so I've randomly put some windows in. These windows, actually, you kind of crank them, and they're supposed to open to the outside. But you can see they're opening to the inside. They're backwards. Go to Modify, and then click on the window, and you'll see there's a little pair of arrows here. If you click on that, it flips it. Now they're going to the right direction.
Same with the doors.
Yep, same with the doors. If we did the doors, we could change that. And look at this. We could even change that. So just click on, that's a real easy way of doing things. So we'll just click on these. Click on these. Boy, they're all wrong. I was only intending to do 1 or 2 wrong, but these are all off. But that's okay. So those are right. Those are all correct. And this one needs to be corrected. I think also we can send, if we wanted to center this, I think if I type in EQ, no, there's some way to, I can't remember how to do it, but there's some way. But you can type in what you want the dimension, just like the same trick that we used with the walls. There's some way, I can't remember how it is, that you can make them equal. It's in my video how you do it. But there's a way you can click on the window and like make both of these numbers equal, and it will center the window in that space. You got to watch the video to see how to do it. I don't remember. It's been so long. No, that's not it. And then sometimes I'll do this to show dimensions. So we've got a dimension showing from the outside face to the outside face. Let's put in one more dimension showing where all these are located. And I'll show you how to do that. If we click here, we're going to, again, hit tab until we get the outside face. And then it will snap to the middle of our windows. Snap. Maybe to the middle of our door too. This is a down and dirty, very fast way of locating where everything needs to go. And then we just kind of pull it up like that. And so now when the contractor is building this, he or she knows where to place all the windows, how far from each wall. One other kind of weird thing is you may get some crazy dimensions, like down to like 78/256ths of an inch, crazy stuff like that. To get rid of those weird fractions, if you just click on one of your dimension strings and then go over here to edit type, where is it? We can scroll down somewhere over here. Oh yeah, units format. We can change that. We'll click on this bar here and we can say rounding to the nearest 1/32 of an inch. Let's see, let's uncheck this and change this to the nearest 1/2 inch. That'll really clean things up. So you uncheck project settings, set this for nearest 1/2 inch, hit OK, and then hit OK. And look at it, suddenly all the weird fractions go away. So that cleans up your drawings, makes them much easier to build. Let's just put in a couple more doors, just so it kind of makes sense. Okay, so we could kind of pretend that this is like I would say use the sketch that you did of your house, use that as your go-by when you're doing your floor plan. So you've already got kind of dimensions in there, you know where windows and doors are occurring. Use that as a go-by when you build the Revit version of your floor plan. Let's take a look at this from the outside here. Yeah, there's all our windows. Here's something neat that we could do. If I don't like what some of these windows are, if I hold down Control, I can select a few of them. I can go over here and change them to another window type. Let's just see what that looks like. Did I change these? Maybe I need to go to, there we go. So what's really great, the name Revit comes from the words revise it. So it's really easy to change things. Once it's in your model, all you got to do is select it and then go to a different option, and you can make the windows different, you can make the doors different, you can make the wall. Everything in your model can be easily changed. So let's go back to our level 1 plan. So we've got some windows in here. We got some doors in here. Let's put in a couple more dimensions. Let's slap a dimension from here to the middle of this one, to that wall, to the middle of this one, to that face right there. There we go. And you'll see all these new dimensions. The only one that has a fraction is this one, 1/2 of an inch. Okay, that's good. And we can delete those. But this is how dimensions should look in an architectural drawing. Your outermost dimension is just kind of the biggest thing that's being measured. And then you got an inner dimension that kind of goes to all the smaller components. And ideally, if we added all these up, they should add up to that number if we did it right. Okay, so there's our plan. We can put some text in if we go up to the letter A here. I like using this kind of text for all my comments. It's this one right here. It's called 2 segments. So what it is, it's a block of text with a 2-segment arrow. And I use that all the time when I'm adding text. And I use text to explain anything that's out of the ordinary. So let's just say that this is bedroom. Bedroom 1 is the master bedroom or something like that. What I'll do is I've selected this one. I'm going to click here, and that tells the computer where to put the arrowhead. And then we just kind of pull it up here. The second click tells it where the elbow goes. And then the third click allows you to type in text. So let's just say master bedroom. And then again, we hit modify to get out of there. So any kind of text that you need to put into a drawing, just use that 2-segment leader arrow text, and that'll just make life real easy for you. So you could use that to call out the kitchen or say, tile floor or whatever. Just use that same kind of command to do that. Okay, so that's pretty much what, that's our floor plan. This is a very simplified floor plan, but this is our floor plan. So we've got walls, we've got a floor, we need to put a roof on this. So let's go up here to our roof plan and double click on it. We can't see anything because our view is kind of stopping right at the bottom here, but we can change some settings to allow us to see down into it. So if we go up here to our properties of our roof plan, I'm looking for, go to underlay, and I think where it says range base level, let's tell it that we want to see all the way down into level 1 and hit apply. Now it's kind of ghosted in, but we can see. This allows us to add stuff to this level, and we can kind of see what's below it, so we can make sure everything aligns with it. Let's draw a roof on here. So we're going to go up here under the Architecture tab. We're going to go to Roof, and again, we'll just draw it using our boundary lines. I'm going to first draw the roof in, and then I'm going to make a couple changes to it. So I'm just aligning it with the face of my walls. Now I'm going to use a command called offset to bump these up. I want my roof to kind of project out from my building. So if we go here to, this is offset, I'm going to select offset, and it's going to, by default, it says copy, uncheck copy. We're going to move the lines. We don't want to move a copy of the lines. We want to move the lines themselves. And I'm going to set this for 3 feet. This is how far out we want to bump everything. So if I hit tab, as I move around this line here, it doesn't know whether I want to bump the line 3 feet in this direction or 3 feet in that direction. So when I get it toggled the way I like it, I'm going to click it. I'm going to do the same thing here. It doesn't know whether to go to the left or to the right, so I'm going to position it like that. I'm going to do the same one here. There we go. And the same one here. So now I've got, that's the outline of my roof. It's properly bumped out. And I'm going to hit the green check mark. I'm going to say I like it. Here's our roof. The reason we've got this big white rectangle here is our eyes are actually just a couple feet above the roof. The roof is penetrating through where our eyes are. We can move our eyes up to see the whole thing. If I go to my 3D view, you can kind of see, there's the roof I just created. If we go back to our roof plan, we're just going to move our eyes up so we can see the whole thing. So again, I've got roof plan selected. I'm going to go to the properties here. And somewhere here it tells us how high our eyes are above this level. And we'll just make that a higher number.
The view range?
Maybe it's under view. Yeah, let's see what edit. Yeah, view range. Yep, our eyes are 4 feet, cut plane. Our eyes are 4 feet above the level. Let's make that 14 feet and hit OK. Oh, clip plane is set below the cut plane. Okay, so let's see, cut plane. Oh, okay. let's make, if you get a weird error like that, I think all they're saying is make your top of your view the same number as your cut plane. There we go. Oh, we're still not high enough. We're still kind of cutting through. So we'll have to do, we'll have to make that like 18 feet or something like that. View range. Yeah, let's make these both 18 feet. Still, gee, okay. I'll just leave it as it. You get the idea of what's going on. Okay, so now there's our structure. Now, this is one of the things I think you were having issues with. How do we put this onto a title block sheet? So I downloaded a title block sheet, and I just have it, oh, right there it is, the B 11 by 17 horizontal. So, but just download a title block sheet and put it somewhere where you can easily find it. I've got mine on my desktop here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to scroll down to Sheets, parentheses, All. This is where you can create your sheets, and then we drag our images onto that. So if I right-click on Sheets, All, we're going to say New Sheet. We're going to create a new sheet, and it's going to ask us, is there a title block that you want to use for this? And there is, but it's not the one that they've got picked out. It's not the E1 30 by 42 horizontal. So we're going to hit Load, and it's going to ask me where to look, and I'm just going to tell it right on the desktop. And there it is right there, B 11 by 17 horizontal. So if I select that and hit open, it's now selected. I'll hit OK. There's our first sheet. And we could type over some of this. We can say like floor plan. And I could type my own name here. And I can overtype this and call it like residence. So you can kind of custom make these. Each sheet that you create, it'll give it a different page number. A stands for architecture, so these are all architecture sheets. This is the first sheet that we're creating, so it just calls it A101. I think the next, if we do another sheet, it'll call it A201. That way you're not overwriting and having all of them have the same name and everything. So there's our sheet. Now what we do is we go up, we hold down the mouse button. We don't double click it, but we're going up to level 1 floor plan, and we just drag it over here and just click it. And there's our floor plan. So we'll just kind of move it a little more to the center. And we're almost done. But we got to do a couple things. We got to take this title and move it up. And we got to get rid of these things here, the cameras. We don't want those to show up. So if we click on our picture and right click on it, we can say activate view. That means everything here is active. We can make changes to our illustration right here. So a couple things we're going to do is we're going to scroll down under floor plan. We're going to check these 3 boxes and hit apply. That tells us where the boundary of our drawing is. We can now click on this thing and pull these dots in. So we're cropping our view. So we're not seeing those pointy cameras anymore. Okay, but we don't want to see this box. The box looks kind of crummy. So all we got to do is, I think one of these is we just uncheck one and hit apply. Nope, it's not that one. Maybe it's the middle one. And we hit there. Yeah, if we uncheck the middle one and hit apply, the box goes away. It's still cropped, but we're just not seeing that obnoxious box. And then we right click and we say deactivate the view. So now it's all locked in there. And now our title, if we zoom in, you can see this is our drawing title, level 1, and it tells the scale of the drawing. If we hold down our mouse button, we can drag this up just so it looks nice and neat. So we have this nice drawing title. But the line is going off our page. So to fix that, if we click here, in the middle of our drawing, we can see these dots show up. This dot allows you can kind of pull that back and just make it how you want it. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this. So I'm going to hit Save As. And when I save it, I'm going to save it as a project. And I'm just going to put this one on my desktop where it's easy to find. And I'll just call it Residence 1 or something easy. And I'll hit Save. And you want to do that fairly, now from here on out, maybe every 10 minutes or so, hit Control S to save it because you never know when your computer is going to crash. Okay. So, so this is pretty much what you do for the first plan assignment. Let's go ahead and put in some cameras. We'll go back to level 1 and produce a couple of interior elevation views, which is the next assignment. So go up here. This time we want to go to, I think it's view instead of architecture. And here it is, elevation. Elevations are just cameras that you put in. So if I click the drop down, I just want to hit elevation. And look at this. This is a camera that we're putting into the drawing. And the computer doesn't quite know what direction I want to be looking in. That's why the pointer keeps moving. Let's do a view looking at that wall. So if we're just going to place the camera, even though the camera is pointed in the wrong direction, we're going to fix it in a second here. So I'll place the camera right there, and then I'm going to hit modify. And if I come back, if I click the box, it allows me to turn on or off all the different directions. So I'm going to turn off the direction looking to the top, but I'm going to turn on that one right there. And then when I click outside of it, now the camera's pointing that way. If I right click on this, this shows me kind of how far into the drawing my view will extend. It'll go all the way to here, and that's fine for what we're doing. And now I can actually scroll down to, there should be go to elevation view. So if I need to go to this view, I'll hit that. There's the view that we're looking at. There's our elevation right there. So I'm just going to do one thing here. I'm going to click the boundary around my elevation, and I'm going to pull this dot up as close to the floor as I can get it. Because if we're cutting through the floor, it's a section drawing. So we just bump that up just a little bit so we can see the floor, but we don't see the floor slab that we're cutting through. And this, we can find it, it's over here. It's under the category elevations. This is now called elevation 1D. If I wanted to rename this, I could call it, I could name it whatever I wanted to call it. I'll call this bedroom elevation, just for lack of a better name. But you've got the ability to call these things whatever you want to. Let's go back and put this on a sheet. So we're going to scroll down to Sheets, parentheses, all. We're going to say New Sheet. B11 by 17 is already chosen, so we'll hit OK. So, and look, this is A102, and this one we'll call Interior Elevations. There we go. And now this time we're going to scroll, we're going to look for the elevation, bedroom elevation. I'm going to hold down my mouse button and just put it right there. There you go. We'll put in, oh, we're running out of time here, but let's put in one more elevation. We'll hit go to elevation view. Not much to see here but that's okay. And we'll hit rename. We'll call this bedroom elevation 2. And we'll go back to our sheets. And if we hit the little plus button, you can see there's our 2 elevations right there. So I'm going to hit double click on interior elevation, and I'm going to hit bedroom elevation 2. And as I bring this in, look at this. When the floor levels line up, a little blue dashed line shows up. And that makes it just look nice and neat. Everything is on the same level. And at this point, I'm going to hit Control Save. I'm 1/3 of the way through the assignment. I've got 2 of my 6 interior elevations here. So you can see once you get some experience, these things go pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I've saved it. And then the very last thing that you'll need to do is we're going to go to File and Export. And this is how you take your sheets and you export them as JPEGs. And the reason you do that is your client or your contractor doesn't necessarily have Revit. So if you email them a Revit model and they don't have Revit, they can't do anything with it. So we're going to take this and we're going to go to Export. And I think we're looking for JPEG. And it's been a while. Oh, images and animation. Here it is. And I think we go down to image. And there's some settings that you have to do. I've sent out instructions on how to do it. It's like what settings to do. So you could look through your emails and see there are also the announcements in Brightspace. Everything I email out, I put as an announcement in case you can't get into your school email. So look at the announcements to see what the settings are. But the one thing to be aware of is make sure both of these say JPEG, and make sure that this one is 300. I'm not sure why I'm not able to. Let's say zoom to 100%, and now we can change this to 300. So set zoom to 100%. This is a full size 11 by 17 print. And when you change that, you should be able to change the image quality, change it to 300. If you leave it at 72, it looks like crap and it's pixelated. You can't see anything. Change it to 300, everything's crystal clear. And then you just hit OK, and it exports it as a JPEG. And I just say, set the location to somewhere where you can easily find it. And then you just upload it to Brightspace, and you're good to go.